I read a couple of your books, and I've loved them. I'm actually sharing them. My dad is reading Countdown to Lockdown right now.
Right.
He's a big fan.
Okay.
Now, one of my favorite things about seeing you live and in the books, you're a prankster, which I think is great. So my question to you, what is the best prank that you've ever pulled?
You know, I know this is the best. Just happened to be the one I was thinking of yesterday, and it's a little bit risque, but it was so, you know, the reaction was so priceless, and unfortunately the recipient of the prank test is no longer with us. But I liked the rib test, and I went up to the to the production, the camera guy, the sound guy, said, hey, let's just do one just for laughs, all right? You know, just play this straight when I'm done, no matter how ridiculous this is. You know, just say, okay, that was great, Mick. And we bring Test in. This is a time when the promo segments were not as tightly, just scripted. You know, you had more say into what went on. And so I just say, just follow my lead. I was the commissioner, and Test comes in to play about the rule, and I said, hey Tess, I'm the commissioner, like I make the rules around here, right? He says, yeah. I said, so I guess you could say that I'm a ruler, right? He goes, yes. And I said, you know what they say about rulers? Every ruler has 12 inches. So why don't you bend over this desk and let me rule your ass?
Oh.
And he says, yes, sir. And then they go, cut, okay, good. It was good, Mick. And I shook Tess's hand, and as he walks away, I hear him go, is he allowed to say that?
He thought it was real.
And I called him back at Tess. It's a rip. And he went, oh, good, because I didn't think you were allowed to do that. You know, so it was one of those fun things, you know. Another one just sticks out in my head is just a little thing, not necessarily laugh out loud, but I like to see reactions.
Sure.
And I mentioned that at the shows you've been to, you know,
Yeah.
and sometimes the clubs are lit in a way you can only see 3 or 4 rows, and you really need those faces to respond to it. Just kind of segue a little bit into what I'm doing now. I remember being disappointed in 1981 when I heard an interview with Ray Davies, who's the lead singer of the Kinks, who are my all-time favorite rock and roll band. And at the time, his answer to the question disappointed me. The question was, you know, how do you feel now that you're out there in front of a hockey arena, you know, size audiences, 20,000 fans a night? How is it different? Is it more exciting? And I thought, of course it's more exciting, because 20,000 is better than 2,000 or 200. And he said, you know, not really. As long as I can see faces, I'm happy. And I had a chance a few years ago to tell him how much that meant to me and how I was disappointed, but how much it resonated with me as I got older. And Spinal Tap audiences, fans will probably like this, is that the band has not become less popular. Their appeal has just become more selective.
I like
And
that.
so as my appeal becomes more selective, I find that I get as much enjoyment out of the responses from 200 or 300 fans as they were when it was in front of 20,000 fans. So this is just one facial expression. But in Las Vegas, Al Snow and Bob Holly were engaged in a tremendous hardcore match. It was a house show, non-televised. They were going all out. You know, Bob was a warrior, and Al underrated. Al was a heck of a wrestler. He really is. No, there's no punchline here.
Okay.
I'm giving him a lot of credit. Al's a heck of a wrestler. And Shane O'Mac was there, and I said, Shane, these guys are really killing it out there, right? He said, yeah. I said, when they come back, pull them aside and tell them that they're using a lot of Mick Foley's like standard, you know, that, and they came in and they're all related, you know, they got bruises all over them, and they hug, and then Shane pulls them over. I can only see the reaction to the nod in their head, and you see the life leaving out, and then Shane goes, oh, by the way, this is a rip. And they both look over like, Mick, you know, and it was just the idea that you will do something to get a reaction of one person, and I enjoy that.
Well, that's awesome.
Thanks.
All right. So I also am curious about, what is the biggest secret that you've ever kept?
Oh, man.
I know you mentioned one in your book, but I wanted to see.
What was the secret I mentioned in the book?
When you won the first WWE championship.
Did not tell my kids.
Right.
Yeah,
And you had to hide
that
your
one big
belt.
period, yeah. Because at that time, as we know, that was the infamous night that the Monday Night War, some people say it shifted because of that that victory I had in Worcester, Massachusetts, which was on tape delay. The results were given away. And the moment that Tony Schiavone gave away the results, I think 500,000 people, 300,000 homes, switched over to WWE. So I did keep that a secret. I'm trying to think. The biggest lie, I'll tell you the three biggest lies I've told. I'll just shift this a little bit. Was when I assured the Undertaker that I had been up on top of the cell earlier in the afternoon and was completely comfortable with the surroundings, which was a lie. Had I been up there earlier in the afternoon, there would have been no activity whatsoever on top of the cell that evening. I was so glad that Jericho pointed out in his book that he was contemplating doing something from the top of the cell, and he said, I'm not exaggerating, the people looked like ants. And I was like, I'm so glad he said that, because I don't think people can wrap their minds around how ridiculously high it was. Only 16 feet, and my vantage point at the time, I was a legit 6'4", now I'm a little bit shorter. But my eyesight at my level was probably at 22-foot mark, and people looked like ants. So there would have been no activity up on top of there if I had not told that whopper. I also assured, I managed to convince Mr. McMahon that I would be complete control of any flight that I might take, which was also a complete and total lie. And the third biggest lie I told was when I convinced Triple H that I could in fact get run over by a car as Santa Claus without getting hurt, which I knew was a lie when I said it. And even though it was a parked car and it was made to look like a moving vehicle by way of sound effects and video editing magic, I still had to walk as hard as I could into that parked car. I did $600 or $800 worth of damage to that BMW, and I'm really proud of that.
Good for you.
Nonetheless, it was still a parked car, but that it was a heck of a landing over that roof. Those are the three biggest lies.
Three biggest lies. Well, good to know.
Yeah. I'll keep my eye on that secret.
Okay.
I've been telling a lie to myself for many years, and I finally came clean.
What's that?
The fanny pack. That was
yes.
the pack. It's over there.
I see the infamous fanny pack. What is behind this fanny pack?
You know what it is? It was an episode of WWE Lockdown.
Okay.
It was a tag team episode, and I watched that episode. I was honestly shocked by how many fashion errors I was committing, even by my standards. You're talking about a guy who's on day 188 of wearing Santa Claus themed attire for an entire year, 188 down. Even by my standards, the fashions I was displaying during that episode were just atrocious. So it was the ill-fitting sports coat, that WWE required me to wear. It was the Native American fringe jacket that was an insult to all Native Americans. It was the bright blue sweatpants that I was wearing when I was tag teaming with The Rock, and my kids were like, Dad, you look awful, like, didn't you know? No, I didn't know. And then I had this fanny pack, and I just hadn't put it back on, and I'm like, if I'm gonna look that bad, I might as well look bad in a way that allows me to carry 2 weeks worth of stuff on the road.
Why not?
On my waist. And so now I have it, like, I don't know if you knew this, I had an extra pair of underwear in that bag last night.
Okay.
I have, I'll be able to pull the t-shirt out. I mean, a big full disclosure, I had intended when I got back from the White Mountain just to take a quick shower and was not able to fit that into the agenda. And so here's a secret.
Okay, what's that?
That only you and I know, is that I was reeking so bad after last night's show that I was like, psst, have any perfume? I didn't say it with a clone. I would rather someone walk away from the experience going, I think he must have hugged a lot of women.
Yeah.
He smelled strongly of perfume.
That's
then they go,
what it
oh
is.
man, the guy just. And so yeah, I was heavily scented with female perfume